Today, I thought that it would be fun to talk about gaming screw-ups. Now, these aren't your typical stories of on-disc DLC or day one patches to fix broken games. I've scoured the internet to find the worst of the worst. So in no particular order, here are 5 major screw-ups in the gaming industry. It is somewhat common knowledge among gamers that the video game market experienced a crash in 1983. To simply explain this event, sales of video games dramatically dropped due to oversaturation, overproduction, and well under average games being released. People were fed up with broken promises of great games and used their wallets to show the game companies. Atari played a major role in causing this crash, releasing terrible game after terrible game. Their first big mistake was trying to capitalize on the release of arcade ports to the Atari 2600 home console. Space Invaders was released with great financial success, and soon after, Raymond Cassar, who was Atari's consumer division president at the time, forced a port of Pac-Man to be completed in only 4 months, which made for a horrible version of the game. Not only was the game rushed and released to unhappy customers, but Cassar overestimated the reach of the game and had more copies produced than there were systems in American households. This left millions of unsold copies sitting on store shelves. The next big mistake has become a staple in retro video game history. I am of course referring to E.T. Atari entered into a deal with Warner Brothers to produce a video game based on the very popular Steven Spielberg film. Again, they had overestimated the sales of the game and produced way more copies than needed. These millions of unsold copies of Pac-Man and E.T. had to be disposed of in some way, so Atari cleared out some of their warehouses and buried thousands of games in a landfill in New Mexico. This was considered to be a rumor for many years, although proof that this did indeed happen was available. Microsoft and Fuel Industries commissioned a documentary to be made about this, and a portion of the landfill was dug up in May of 2013. The documentary titled Atari Game Over was released in 2014. THQ published a game titled Homefront on the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC. The game's story involves North and South Korea uniting to invade the United States and spread communism. Communism is normally associated with the color red, and apparently someone at THQ thought it would be a good idea to release hundreds of red balloons with little promotional flyers attached into San Francisco's sky to promote the release of the game. As balloons do, they began to deflate after some time and landed in the San Francisco Bay, causing citizens of the city to become outraged. The balloons had GameStop's logo on them, which prompted many angry people to blame GameStop for the stunt, leaving comments on the company's Facebook and Twitter pages. After enough public outrage, GameStop released a statement saying that they had no prior knowledge of the event and stated that THQ was responsible for the release of the balloons. THQ initially stated that the balloons were 100% biodegradable and there should be no issues with the balloons harming any wildlife. While this may have been true, the balloons were still considered trash and people were not happy with the company simply stating that they are biodegradable. Biodegradation happens over a period of time, and while the balloons are still in their latex form, they do pose a potential threat to wildlife. The move was not only bad publicity for the company, but also illegal, as California has a law prohibiting the littering of balloons into state waters. THQ eventually put together a crew to remove the balloon debris from the water, but people still weren't happy with the company. Some people will say that any publicity is good publicity, but I'll let you decide for yourself on this one. God of War is a well-loved franchise and one of Sony's most important first-party titles. Being such a special game, Sony had to do something crazy to celebrate the release of God of War 2, right? How about sacrificing a goat? Sony held a promotional party in Greece to celebrate God of War 2 being released. The party featured topless women feeding grapes to attendees, as well as a decapitated goat. People at the party were invited to reach into the goat's stomach and feast on the entrails, which was actually a meat soup provided by the catering that was placed into the goat. Obviously, animal rights activists were outraged by the event, and Sony received a lot of backlash because of it. Many people stated that an animal shouldn't be slaughtered to promote the sale of a video game. Sony initiated an internal investigation to make sure such an inappropriate event didn't happen again. They also recalled all copies of a print of the official PlayStation magazine, which had photos and a written article about the event. Although this event caused some people to not only boycott the game, but Sony altogether, the company seems to be doing okay, with the PS4 holding a huge sales advantage over the Wii U and Xbox One combined. Acclaim is best known for their hand in Mortal Kombat, Turok, The Simpsons, Double Dragon, and the WWF games. They have had plenty of ad campaigns that could be considered to be in poor taste, such as offering $10,000 to the first couple to name their child Turok, offering to pay the speeding tickets of people who purchased Burnout, and painting pigeons with the logo for Virtua Tennis 2 and releasing them during Wimbledon Championship games. Probably the worst ad campaign from Acclaim was for Shadow Man 2: The Second Coming for the PlayStation 2. The company invited relatives of recently deceased family members to contact them if they wished to place a Shadow Man 2 advertisement on the tombstone of their loved one in exchange for financial help with the funeral and burial costs. The company stated that it could be very helpful for lower-income families and expected a rush of inquiries, although it appears nobody took them up on their offer. Acclaim was somewhat known for their unconventional promotions, but this is a bit far, even for them. Some may think that they did this because just the publicity of the unusual campaign may have been enough to promote the game without actually advertising on any gravestones. Watch Dogs is a game where the player can hack into a variety of electronic devices and take control of them. To promote this game, Ubisoft sent little black safes to journalists containing a copy of the game and a few promotional items. A note containing many blacked out lines and the phrase, "Check your voicemail," accompanied the safe. The voicemail stated that they would be receiving a special package related to Ubisoft's new game, Watch Dogs. Unfortunately, one of the journalists who received this safe did not have voicemail, and when she attempted to open the safe, it began beeping. This led to the police and eventually the bomb squad being called in to investigate the mysterious safe. The entire floor was evacuated and employees were sent home for their safety. The officers eventually pried the safe open as the code that was included to open it was incorrect. What is even more puzzling is that the particular company doesn't even cover video games. It seems the stunt wasn't thoroughly planned out and resulted in what could be considered a bomb hoax. Luckily, nobody was hurt, although there was a report that the journalist the package was addressed to was crying when evacuated, not knowing why a bomb might be shipped to her. Ubisoft issued an apology stating that the promotion didn't go as planned and that they would take precautions to make sure something like this wouldn't happen again in the future. If you have any other big screw-ups from the gaming industry, please feel free to post them in a comment down below, and perhaps I'll talk about them in another video. I want to thank you so much for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. Take care.